I'm going to do my best to stay here, but if I wander, just wave and I'll pick up the other microphone. It is an absolute pleasure to be here. I am thrilled to talk to you, particularly given the theme of this symposium, Opening the Aperture, Charting New Paths. And that's because I really believe that the intelligence community is sitting on the precipice of absolutely transformational change. And that change is coming from a number of drivers. It's coming from the incredible, we call it V4, volume, velocity, veracity of data. It's coming from budget pressures and a need to do things much more efficiently. But the greatest opportunity that we have is this opportunity of eyesight. So I know we talked a little bit about eyesight at the last session. I'm going to actually talk a lot about eyesight and the opportunities that presents the intelligence community and the need for the intelligence community to rely that much more on industry in achieving this transformation. So as of 2012, more than 90% of stored data in the world had been created in the previous 2 years, between 2010 and 2012. That glide slope, I think all of you have seen, has only increased. Historically in the intelligence community, we sense things, we process things via stovepipes attached to those sensors, and we disseminate that information via those same stovepipes. What that meant is that for the all-source analyst, we ended up hiring, recruiting, promoting, and training based on a person's ability to be a super good hunter-gatherer. What we are trying to transform into, or what this architecture allows us to do, is to rethink those business processes completely, to move beyond our serialized stovepipe processes and move into business processes that optimize for a fully integrated IC whole. So any of you who have been inside our business know that that's a monumental change. That is not how we operate today. I would say I am concerned that intelligence officers today have a paucity of imagination and thinking through what these new business processes and mechanisms could look like. And that's a specific area where industry can help us rethink. So as director of, in addition to that ability to rethink our processes and move and take advantage of what this new architecture can give us, even without the move to eyesight, we need to leverage big data methodologies, the use of non-traditional data sources, and new methodologies to go about our business. Our traditional reliance on manual curation of really only intelligence collected sensor data means that we've actually introduced an analytic bias into our work, because we are in fact spot checking a smaller and smaller portion of available data on any particular topic. Now what we don't want to do is deluge analysts with they're already overwhelmed with data. We don't want to just open the spigots and dump all that stuff on them, because we will in fact drown them. What we do want to do is introduce automated methodologies that can help us promote, build, and train for insight deliverers, vice hunter-gatherers, and build alerting functions, alerting algorithms, methodologies that will aggregate and automate what we can aggregate and automate, and really enable our analysts to get out of that hunter-gatherer phase and to focus the majority of their time on that insight deliverer phase. And that is a lot of what we've been doing in the analytic modernization efforts at DIA, in very, very close partnership with the analytic modernization programs of the other agencies. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about what is eyesight. So I know someone asked the question of the previous speaker what eyesight is. I've got a slightly different answer. First of all, I would say I disagree with the characterization that we got two clouds. They're not two clouds. We have one cloud. It has multiple dimensions to it. that we have a C2S component that is commercially built that allows us to leverage the entire Amazon commercial marketplace, which is an incredibly powerful thing. We have a GovCloud component that is an IC government-built capability, and both of them bring different strengths to this overall architecture. So it is really, it's actually, in some ways you can think of it as a hybrid cloud, but actually what we're finding now is that the optimal solutions involve leveraging the best and the most ideally suited across both clouds. I am not an IT person, so I am absolutely not going to spend a whole ton of time talking about the IT stuff. What iSight started off as is a convergence of 17 separate networks into a single network. There's an incredible amount of power in simply not having separate networks and sharing a same network and sharing common services across all of them. That in itself has great goodness to it. A lot of that infrastructure has, in fact, had the platform built. But that is just the bare bones of what iSight brings. From a mission user perspective, what iSight allows me to think about is a single data store, so a data sea, where data from all different kinds of sensors lives and commingles and is accessible across a wide variety of applications and in-specific applications and cross-int applications. That provides a richness in our findings and a richness in our mission outcomes that are really not possible to have when you have those applications tied to separate data stores. So, I'll give an example. If you have we have an effort right now where we have the same application searching across 4 separate extremely large data sources. So, one of them will be a 10 terabyte data source with this same application running across it. Different agency has that same application against a completely different data source on the same topic. And right now, it requires a human being to look at the outcome of each one of those 4 tied data sets and application and manually figure out what the interconnections are across them. A much, much more powerful, much, much more optimized way of doing that work process is to pull that data and have an application that's a relatively lightweight application that can dive into that data pool and see across all of those data sets to find the right answer. You get a totally different answer. You get a much more complete answer. So that's from a mission perspective, one really good aspect of iSight. You get most of the data in a data pool that is accessible to everyone. Another awesome aspect of iSight, we have uniform access controls. You got uniform, you don't have 17 different networks identifying who gets access to what. You have a uniform standard to do that. You have uniform tagging to do that. That gives you all kinds of security benefits in addition to the all-source analytic benefits it gives you. It allows you to audit. It actually provides for a much more secure environment. And then, finally, from a mission perspective, we have already started to move our applications into an app small, just like the app small that you have on your phone or on your tablet. That means that I, as a DIA user, can benefit from the innovation of DHS, which is an incredibly awesome thing. I don't have to rehost their application. I can go to the app small. If there is a capability or a tradecraft methodology that they've invested in, that they've developed, I can use that against that data source to answer my mission question. And, as we move into this, we should be developing better, innovative, agile development cycles so we can improve. A DIA analyst or a DIA programmer can improve on what a DHS or an FBI or an NSA officer has put into the app small. So that's why Mission finds this so incredibly exciting. So in the work that we've done on eyesight, about 2 years ago, we stood up a mission user group for eyesight. I am the co-chair of that group. I have a CIA colleague who is the co-chair with me, and we have thought leaders and mission leaders from throughout the IC sitting on this mission user group. As we started to learn more about the mission benefits and the mission opportunities for eyesight, we came to a number of realizations. One of the founding principles of eyesight is that data is an IC asset. So in point of fact, no agency actually operates that way. Today, most agencies don't even, in fact, I can't think of a single agency that actually operates as data as an agency asset, let alone data as an IC asset. So part of our role is to enforce and be the conscience of mission in enforcing a new mode of behavior. And data as an IC asset is one of those absolutely critical components. So I'll give you an example from within my own organization that we have been working to clean up. We have one data set in particular that is actually a government-owned data set, that government collected, wholly government data set, that required, for which we had 16 separate memorandums of agreement that tied access to that data to a specific office, division, or team. 16 separate MOAs to share one U.S. government agency data set with another U.S. government agency. We spent quite a bit of time cleaning up all of those MOAs so that we had one umbrella MOA governing access to that data set for the entire Defense Intelligence Agency. So compound that across all of the intelligence community. That's the kind of work that we're in the process of going through to make sure that we look at data as an IC asset. That we have common standards, that we tag that data so that we know who is accessing it, that the people who are appropriate to access it, and that we have an audit trail on all of it. The second thing that the MUG did was identify that there are some capabilities, kind of like on your iPhone, that are kind of ubiquitous. Everybody has a mapping feature on your iPhone. Everybody has a Safari. Everybody has some core capabilities. And we found the same thing in our business processes. There are some core capabilities that pretty much everyone needs. Rather than all of us separately provisioning, though right now we all separately provision those capabilities. We believe that we can get a much better outcome if we identify an executive agent to provision those kinds of capabilities for us. So, an instance of this is geomapping services. NGA is the logical executive agent for that, and they have taken on that role. So one of the other things that the MUG does is identify those kinds of capability-based decisions where we want a common application across the entire IC. This does not mean that there are no other GEOINT capability applications out there. What it does mean is that they're generally going to be lighter weight. But the core one is NGA's to deliver for us. And then the third line of effort that we have, more than a line of effort, the third type of effort that we have are things that we call threads. It is very, very easy to encounter resistance in moving to an eyesight architecture when you talk at the philosophical level, and it's also very, very easy to see unlimitless potential when you talk at the philosophical level. It's actually not until you get to the real problem and the real digits that you see what the impediments are and can sweep them away, and you fully realize what the potential is and can work towards it. Initially, pretty much so we chose real mission problems and teams from across the entire IC to do deep dives and figure out how to move those mission problems into an eyesight architecture. We chose mission problems that we thought would be representative, so if they found solutions, we could scale those solutions across many other mission problems. And those are called our threads. Initially, when we started down the path, what we discovered is that policy was the impediment. Every single one of them stopped because of policy. The second we started looking into the specifics of it, what we discovered is that, you know, there's a lot of practice masquerading as poverty, as policy, and there's a lot of policy masquerading as law. And we actually were not as constrained as we thought we were. So let me move on to, I want to leave plenty of time for questions. So let me move on to what industry can do to help support mission. On the analytic modernization side, which in my mind is deeply, deeply intertwined with eyesight and and the opportunities presented by this new architecture. Frankly, we are in our infancy in thinking about big data analytics, in thinking about automating processes. We really are just at the beginning of this. And we need the ideas of industry to help us think through that. I mentioned before that we want to move beyond our existing stovepiped processes. We do not want to move to the cloud and take our existing processes and wholesale plunk them into this new architecture. That would be a waste. We need to challenge our existing processes and rethink and focus on a to-be state. And there is great benefit to having people who are not deeply steeped in our individual processes and not wedded to the investments that we've made over the last 50 years in helping us identify optimal solutions and optimal business processes. In the past, I know I've spoken at forums like this and talked about object-based production. That's an example of a new business process that actually does optimize for an IC whole. It breaks us away from a linear, stovepiped business process and focuses us to optimize on an IC whole integrated solution. Those are the kinds of things that we're working for. Some of the other things that we're working on, and we're already partnering extensively with industry, we need more industry partnership, is agile development, particularly of all these lightweight applications that I just talked about. The way that DIA has done this and a number of other IC agencies, we have taken what we call the Nerd Brigade, industry code developers who sit side by side with my analysts and my CIO professionals and data scientists, side by side as a team. They focus on an analytic problem, and they dynamically, with the analyst sitting right there, they fix that, they make that analyst's life better. They improve his business process and improve his world. So gone are the days where we had an analyst define a whole set of requirements. It got thrown over the transom to a program developer somewhere, and then a year later, something came out the other end for which trades were made that the analyst had no way to influence, and frankly, generally didn't meet his needs. Now, the analyst actually thinks he developed it because it was his problem, it was his idea. He's sitting there side by side, iterating on these fixes. When the trades need to be made, he's there saying, "Go this way, not that way," and he is deeply invested in this solution. And what we find is that when our analysts are deeply invested in the solution and believe it was their own, it proliferates. I'm not going to talk too much more about that because I know that the next speaker is going to talk extensively about the acquisition process. So I have gone long. I'm going to stop now and just open it up for anybody who has questions.
I have some written questions,
Okay,
Cathy.
and there's somebody who
There's some
is
more?
there. That's okay. Go ahead.
There's some on the floor?
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay.
I can't see.
Let me bring you.
You spoke about the manual processes, the hunter-gatherer time that the analysts spend. How much of that is around curating the data sets, and what kind of automation are you looking for in that particular area?
Yeah, that's a super good point. So a ton of it is around two major aspects. Right now, an estimate, we've got about 2,400 repositories of data. So nobody is going to go to 2,400 places and launch a query. Nobody is going to do that. So, one big benefit, we get all of that into a major big data store. That will be a major time saver. But then you've got gobs and gobs and gobs of data. We are investing in automated correlation heavily. Anything that we can auto-correlate around a central concept or around a central object, we are investing in that heavily. Whole agencies have transformed their business process in order to do that. Because frankly, the easiest and cheapest way in the long run to do that is to do that way upstream at the point that you sense it. We are also investing heavily in alert functions. So a really good example of this, the National Center for Medical Intelligence works for me up in Frederick, Maryland. When there is a disease outbreak, generally you don't know if you wait until you have a World Health Organization tell you that there's a disease outbreak of a particular kind, you are well into the disease. What they focus on is open source indicators that indicate social disruption, lack of bandages, lack of hospital space, nurses getting sick, lack of vaccine, things like that, lack of antibiotics, things like that. And that provides, which is a massive amount of data, constantly screened in partnership with health organizations all over the world to help give everyone an understanding of where and when you're seeing a disease outbreak. So that's what I mean by an alerting function.
Okay, we have some that were submitted, Cathy. Now I'll read them to you. Currently, the NGA and the DIA are the only IC agencies integrated on the eyesight system. What is the schedule for CIA, NSA, and the remainder of the IC to integrate?
Okay, so I am not focused on the hardware part of it, so I actually don't have the date for you. But here's what I would say about that. What NGA and DIA are finding is that a lot of the collaboration impediments that we have historically experienced are disappearing because we have collaboration tools innately baked in to the DTE. So, as a for instance, my counterpart and I, Gary Dunow and I can jabber chat with each other. That has opened up all kinds of collaboration and daily interaction kinds of capabilities. I think as the other agencies see how much more effective we can be in collaboration, I think that there will be a growing impetus to adopt more quickly.
Okay, this is a long question, but it's a very, very interesting one. At the NGA ZAFCI Industry Day, Doug McCowan stated NGA's biggest proponents of eyesight are coming from the analyst community, vice the tech community. Does DIA see the same trend? How do you put the concerns of the tech community at ease to move towards the eyesight further?
Okay, that's a really awesome question. And I would say in general, the analysts throughout the IC see the promise, the opportunity, and the benefit of eyesight immediately, in part because of that ubiquitous, easier access to data, easier access to applications, all of that. The way that I would, you say tech community, but I think the concern is really with our security and counterintelligence communities. And the way that I would calm those fears is we have an audit capability in eyesight. We generally don't have an audit capability. We don't have nearly as robust an audit capability in existing networks as we do in this new architecture. Actually, it is a more secure way of ensuring that the right people get access to the right information that they are cleared and have the need to know.
Okay?
Okay?
Well, we had a couple other, but I think you touched them on with respect to the analysts and the human interaction. So we'll stop there. Thank
Okay.
you very much, Cathy.
Thank you.